Now, if you are on the West Coast tonight, listen up closely. The FBI is now warning law enforcement officials in California that Iran could be plotting a surprise drone attack against unspecified targets within the state of California. Now, this as Senator Cruz is now warning the threat from the possible Iranian sleeper cells has never been higher. He joins us now. Texas Senator Cruz, let's talk about the sleeper cells and this direct threat of drones to California.
Well, Sean, as we sit here right now tonight, the threat of terrorist attack is higher now than it has been in decades. And there are two causes of it. Number one, we had 4 years under Joe Biden of open borders. We had 12 million people flood across the border, basically an open invitation to every terrorist, every Hamas and Hezbollah and IRGC terrorist, come to America. We have seen in just the last week 2 terrorist attacks unfold. We saw just over a week ago in Austin, Texas, a deranged killer showing up in a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah," in a T-shirt underneath with an Iranian flag, opened fire at a bar in Austin, Texas, killing several Texans, wounding more than a dozen more. It was a brazen act of terrorism. Then we saw just a couple of days ago 2 ISIS terrorists from Pennsylvania travel to New York and throw 2 handmade bombs filled with nails and bolts designed to kill as many people as possible. Fortunately, these terrorists were not very bright terrorists, so they didn't actually know how to make bombs that worked, so the bombs didn't detonate. But the terrorists told the Department of Justice they had hoped to kill a lot more people than the Boston bombers did at the Boston Marathon. Those are the 2 terrorist attacks we've seen, and we are at danger of more. We have had radical Muslim clerics in the Middle East call for fatwas, issue fatwas against America, instruct Islamists to try to kill as many Americans as they can. And I got to tell you the most indefensible part of all of this. At a time when we are facing profound threats of terrorism, every single Democrat except John Fetterman has voted over and over and over again to shut down the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security, its central purpose is to prevent acts of terrorism, and the Democrats are saying defund DHS when we're facing a massive risk of terrorism.
You know, I have very hard pressed to understand those that do not understand the Trump doctrine. I think they purposefully distort it for their own political purposes. You know, then you have the isolationist wing, the anti-Semitic wing, Democrats that don't support anything Donald Trump does. So you got these voices out there that are loud, but to me rather meaningless because they don't understand history. And I brought this up with Mike Walls. 100 million human souls last century. They have said they want to destroy Israel and America. When they say it, believe it. When even after Operation Midnight Hammer, they did not learn their lesson, and they think it's their inalienable right to have nuclear weapons. At that point, when do you realize maybe you want to take out a regime that's pledging a modern-day Holocaust before they actually have the weapons to do it?
Sean, you are absolutely right. And it's worth understanding the threat from Iran is not theoretical. It's not hypothetical. 47 years ago, the Islamist revolution happened in Iran, and the Ayatollah came in. The first thing they did to start the revolution was to take Americans hostage and to hold them hostage for 444 days. That's how they started their revolution. For 47 years, the regime in Iran has been the #1 funder of terrorism across the globe. Hamas, that carried out the horrific October 7th atrocities, 90% of their funding comes from Iran. Hezbollah, 90% of their funding comes from Iran. The Houthis, 90% of their funding comes from Iran. In the last 5 decades, Iran has murdered nearly 1,000 Americans. The Ayatollah, he leads mobs chanting death to America. Listen, if history teaches anything, it's that if somebody tells you they want to kill you, believe them. And to be clear, the Ayatollah twice hired hitmen to murder President Trump. And so you were talking a minute ago about the Trump doctrine. The Trump doctrine is not invade foreign countries and send our soldiers to die in extended occupations. We're not doing that. That is not happening in Iran. Iran is not Iraq. But what President Trump will do is, if you are killing Americans, if you are a threat to the safety of Americans, President Trump is a strong commander-in-chief, and he will take you out. And this decision to attack the regime in Iran is the single most important national security decision made by President Trump, by taking out the Ayatollah, his top military leaders, the ballistic missiles, the drones, his naval force. All of that is making America much, much safer. And by the way, all of the clowns who go on and say this is for Israel, understand this is for America. Iran wants to kill Americans. The Ayatollah called Israel the little Satan and America the great Satan. And President Trump said, you know what? If you're killing Americans and you're telling us you want to kill more Americans, we're going to stand up and stop you before you kill more Americans.
All right, we appreciate your time, Senator Ted Cruz. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.